To understand the magnitude of the empire, you must first understand the trap. We call it the illusion of liquidity. In 1992, Shaquille O'Neal spent a $1 million contract in exactly 30 minutes. 3 Mercedes-Benzes and a briefcase of diamonds later. The bank manager informed him that, after taxes, he was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. This is the NBA's financial slaughterhouse. You think signing a professional contract means you have made it. You are wrong. It is the exact moment a highly visible target is painted on your back. There are 2 types of athletes: those who buy toys to look wealthy, and those who weaponize their contracts to build real power. In 2001, a 19-year-old Gilbert Arenas was convinced he would be a top 10 draft pick. Operating on pure delusion, he took out a $400,000 loan before he ever heard his name called. He bought a Cadillac Escalade, installed 5 televisions and a suede roof. But Arenas fell to the second round, signing a contract that netted him $70,000 less than his outstanding debt. The math was absolute. The man who thought he had conquered the world was completely broken. This is the fundamental error of the amateur consumer. They spend imaginary future capital to satisfy an immediate ego deficit. They become cash rich, but equity poor. But even if you avoid immediate bankruptcy, the consumer mindset attracts sophisticated predators. Take LaMelo Ball, currently playing for the Charlotte Hornets, before even entering the league. LaMelo signed a staggering $100 million endorsement with Puma. He immediately flooded the market with his newfound liquidity. A Ferrari F8 Tributo, a $1 million Richard Mille watch, a multi-million-dollar condo, and a heavily customized camouflage Hummer EV fitted with a train horn. He built a monument to his own ego. But he allegedly forgot to pay the publicist who orchestrated his early negotiations. The result was a brutal $10 million lawsuit, dragging his name through the courts. Or consider Kelly Oubre Jr., now with the Philadelphia 76ers. He used his rookie check to buy 2 puppies for $12,000. Years later, an unstable ex-girlfriend kidnapped the dogs and allegedly blackmailed him for $3 million to return them. This is the dark side of ostentatious wealth, when you broadcast your liquidity through exotic cars and diamond chains. You do not just attract fans, you attract extraction artists. Every visible liability is a massive vulnerability. The most common weapon of self-sabotage in the NBA is the automobile. It is a depreciating sinkhole disguised as a status symbol. Look at Dwight Howard, who spent $65,000 customizing a Dodge Hellcat to look like the comic book superhero The Flash, or the ultimate catastrophic miscalculation by Dennis Schroder, who now plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. During intense contract negotiations, the Los Angeles Lakers offered Schroder an $84 million extension. Believing his own hype, he declined, attempting to leverage them for more. The market aggressively rejected him. He was forced to accept a humiliating 1-year deal for just $6 million. He fumbled a generational fortune. And how did he cope with this massive financial loss? He spent half of his new reduced contract on a $3 million Bugatti Chiron. He bought a car that can hit 250 miles per hour. To outrun his own terrible business decisions, he even posted it online, encouraging the world to mock him. And they did. This is what happens when ego dictates capital allocation. The player becomes a slave to the aesthetic of wealth, while their actual net worth is quietly vaporized by depreciation and maintenance costs. Not every player falls into the trap of pure narcissism. Some use their first surge of liquidity to rewrite the destiny of those around them. When the world shut down in 2020, rookie Zion Williamson stepped into the void. pledging to cover the salaries of the New Orleans Pelicans arena staff for 30 days. He deployed over $300,000 of his own capital to save families from immediate ruin. Similarly, Ja Morant recognized that his parents sacrificed their own careers to forge his. He rewarded them with a fleet of cars and a sprawling $2.1 million mansion in Tennessee. These are acts of profound nobility. They are emotionally resonant and morally superior to buying a camouflage Hummer, but strictly through the cold, calculated lens of a corporate balance sheet. They share a fatal flaw with the sports cars. They are sunk costs. They are massive outflows of capital that do not generate returning dividends. To survive the NBA, benevolence is simply not enough. You must transform from a well-paid employee into a predatory corporate entity. This brings us to the blueprint, the singular strategy that separated LeBron James from the financial slaughterhouse and made his 2026 playoff defeat irrelevant. In 2003, an 18-year-old LeBron signed a $90 million contract with Nike. Instead of rushing to the dealership to buy a fleet of Bentleys, he made the most crucial investment of his entire life. He hired his closest friend, Maverick Carter, for $50,000 a year and explicitly tasked him with building an empire. LeBron understood that he was not just a basketball player, he was a highly valuable distribution network. In 2008, he struck a deal with an emerging headphone company called Beats by Dre, but LeBron refused to take a standard endorsement fee to just wear the headphones. He demanded equity. He forced the company to give him a small ownership stake in exchange for his promotional power. Years later, when Apple acquired Beats Electronics for $3 billion, LeBron's strategic demand triggered a massive payout. He walked away with over $30 million in cash and stock. This was arguably the biggest equity cash payout for a professional athlete in history. He didn't just sell his image, he owned the infrastructure. Once the equity engine was ignited, LeBron aggressively diversified his portfolio. He was no longer playing a game of basketball. He was playing a game of global monopoly. He invested roughly $6.5 million for a 2% stake in the English football club Liverpool. As the club's valuation exploded over the next decade, that singular investment multiplied nearly 5 times, swelling to over $32 million. He applied the exact same ruthless formula to the food industry. He walked away from a guaranteed $15 million McDonald's endorsement to invest $1 million into a startup called Blaze Pizza. He chose ownership over a flat fee. That $1 million gamble is now valued at $25 million, with millions more contingent on sales. He launched Spring Hill Entertainment, a media company that would eventually be valued at over $700 million. LeBron did not just buy a seat at the table, he bought the entire boardroom. He was spotted taking investment advice from Warren Buffett, absorbing the mental frameworks of the world's elite to insulate himself against any future athletic decline. But none of this equity, none of these investments matter without the core engine. At the 9-minute mark of this analysis, we must reveal the absolute greatest asset an athlete possesses. It is not real estate. It is not a stock portfolio. It is the biological machine. LeBron James spends approximately $1.5 million every single year, strictly on his body. He employs personal chefs, full-time masseuses, and biomechanical trainers. He utilizes cryotherapy and hyperbaric chambers to optimize cellular recovery. Over $20 million invested into a single physical entity over his career. Why? Because longevity is the ultimate multiplier of wealth. He did not spend this money to win the 2026 playoffs. He spent it to buy time. Every additional year, he forced his body to remain on the court. He bought another year for his compound interest to mature. He bought another year for Blaze Pizza to expand. And for Spring Hill to produce more content. He protected the machine so the machine could fund the legacy. And that legacy transcends capital. It manifests in the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio, providing free tuition and daily meals for at-risk students. The dichotomy of the NBA is brutal and unforgiving. You are handed a lottery ticket at 19 years old, thrust into a system designed to extract your wealth as quickly as you earn it. The amateurs fall for the trap. They buy the depreciating hypercars. They take on toxic debt. They drown in the illusion of limitless liquidity until the arena lights shut off and the bank accounts freeze. But the Titans understand that an NBA contract is not a reward. It is seed funding. They use the capital to buy equity. They use the equity to build leverage. And they use the leverage to achieve absolute corporate immortality. The Oklahoma City Thunder may have swept him out of the playoffs, but the game was never truly played on the hardwood. It was played on the balance sheet. You either weaponize your contract, or your contract will weaponize you.